Yeah, baby.
Yeah. The Mac is back with another video. Hello, the initiated. My name is Marcus Junikala, and today we're having a look at the newest release by Fracture Sounds. This one is called Petrichor, and if I take myself to the one sheet they sent my way, this has a subtitle of Earthy Winds, so presumably it's going to be wind instruments. So this is a collaboration with composer Dan Keane. Now, I'm familiar with him through some of the videos he's done for Spitfire Audio, and through that I've heard some of his music, and indeed he has written some really awesome stuff. So cool seeing them collaborate. So this, they say it's a curated woodwind instrument ensemble, providing a warming palette of soft and mellow textures. Perfect for emotive scoring. Sounds good to me. Yeah, I'm on board with that. So apparently Dan put together some of his closest collaborators and friends. It's a contemporary ensemble, alto and bass flute, not bass flute. Not the fish flute, clarinet and bass, clarinet and bass, tenor. Okay, I gotta stop doing that. Bass, tenor, alto, and soprano saxes. Ooh, that's interesting. So saxophones, I haven't really heard many great sampling efforts regarding that, but to be fair, I haven't heard many of those to begin with either. I have heard some interesting synthesized stuff when it comes to saxophones, but we'll see. Yeah, they say these are combined to create a warm and intimate blend of textural techniques. Notable features, they state: articulation switching allows you to switch between multiple articulations whilst maintaining the simplicity and feel of our previous libraries. That's good. I mean, obviously, as I've said before, with Fracture Sounds, everything just remains super playable and immediate, so I'm happy they still want to upkeep that. And then you apparently have atmosphere layers again, and they state there are 10 to choose from, so happy to see that. As you know, I'm a fan of the atmosphere layers. And they have something called Smart Trills. So they scan through the different intervals every time a notes are played, and it will play either major second, minor third, or major third sporadic trill samples depending on what note combinations are played. Okay, that's going to be interesting. Check out. And this is out presumably today when the video is released, unless I ballsed up something, but obviously I wouldn't do that. Thursday, 23rd November. Cool. Intro pricing, at least according to this one sheet, which ends 7th of December, is in dollars 59, in pounds 59, in euros 59. And apparently, I guess this is full price, 79, including VAT. Cool. And apparently there is also a Black Friday sales offer, which ends November 30th, which is Midnight Grand plus Petrichor, which is 99, depending on, well, dollars, pounds, euros. That is, I must say, that's pretty appealing, because it's not a big jump to combine that. I actually haven't played Midnight Grand yet. Hopefully at some point. But you know, as you know, I love all the pianos I have touched from or by Fracture Sounds. Okay, then they have a bit of an interface overview here, which seems to be simple enough. Let's just jump in there to see whether we can make sense of it, even without terrible amounts of familiarization. There we go. Cool. All right, anything else we want to touch on? Yeah, obviously transparency. Fracture Sounds did send me this copy, so first of all, thank you to them for doing that. As always, that being said, all opinions are my own, both in the positive and the possible negative. I haven't been asked to say anything one way or the other, nor would I ever do that. And I'm not being paid to either film or edit this video, etc. In terms of what you're going to hear today is just Petrichor in action. No added effects, no reverb, nothing. It's just what comes out of this, out of the box. And then I have a limiter on my master bus, which is set to be very transparent, just to get the level decent for this video and consistent. If you hear any clipping, it's the limiter. If it isn't, I'll let you know, and I'll probably let you know either way. And yeah, if you see me adjust something that you don't see on the interface screen here, then it's me playing with the limiter. In terms of what Petrichor means, I'm sure many of you already do know, but it is a pleasant smell that frequently accompanies the first rain after a long period of warm, dry weather. So there you go. And obviously ichor, which is part of that, is either the fluid that flows like blood in the veins of the gods, or it's a watery discharge from a wound. So I'm guessing they went for the previous one. Obviously it's a different word, but it's part of the word. But anyway, I'm always interested in that kind of stuff. So there you go. Nobody asked for that or wanted that, but cool. All right, looking at this interface here, if I open the window to the side here, we basically have 6 different things to open up. You got high winds main, low winds main, full ensemble main, high winds alternative, low winds alternative, and full ensemble alternative. I'm thinking best to start with the full ensemble main, and then we can break it down to high and low, and then go to the alternative ones. That's at least my logic at this stage. Obviously, often I'm proven wrong, but as always, I want to go in blind with these as much as possible, so you get my authentic full response in terms of what this is like for me out of the box, and hopefully that is going to be somewhat informative to you as well. Cool. So what I see here is we got full ensemble chosen here. Obviously up here we have dynamics, expression, color, reverbs. So pretty normal stuff. To the right we have the atmosphere layer mixer, or rather the mixer with the atmosphere layers. So apparently these ones are called Earth, Marsh, and Moss. So it wasn't Earth, Wind, and Fire, but I guess this is what I would have gone for as a second option. And then you have obviously the raw signal, and then you can control the atmosphere intensity as well. Okay, cool. Fantastic. And then we have these boxes here with different words. So Wisps, Smart, Trills. I thought it said Slooms. Slooms would have been pretty cool. I don't think it means anything, but Slooms sounds pretty cool. Blooms, Soft Accents, Swells Long, Swells Short. What's wrong with my reading today? Spores. Slooms and Spores. And then you have Wild Wisps. Wild Wisps. So, okay, cool. Presumably different textures, or these ones are, yeah, I mean, I don't know what they call them, or maybe these are the articulations. So yeah, you have key switches here. Okay, yeah, at the bottom in the red. So these ones cycle through. Wait a minute. Okay, so you can either press one of them and it cycles through them here, but I can also press 2 and then 2 of them are activated. That's very interesting. Cool. Let's see how that works. I wonder what. Okay, so mod wheel seems to be by default hooked to dynamics and atmosphere intensity. So that'll be interesting. I wonder how it's gonna, if I have 2 selected, how is it gonna cycle between them? Let me see if I missed something here on the one sheet, as I'm sure I did. Allowing you to switch between multiple articulations whilst maintaining the simplest. Okay. Using the assigned key switches, full purging options, add nuance to. I can't seem to see anything that would touch on the 2 combined. But I guess we'll find out. That's what this is all about. So these ones are called Wisps. And again, we're dealing with the full ensemble here, so I guess all of those instruments that were mentioned are at play. So we might have to get a level going at first if this is a bit quiet, but let's get going with Wisps. Adjusting the limiter here. So really, I mean, in terms of the tone and the color, it is indeed very warm, very pleasant to listen to. And again here, since we're dealing with these kind of like long textural notes, this it maintains realism quite easily because we're dealing with these kind of fading in, fading out kind of type of things where texture is very much at the center of the sound. So cool. Let me play something higher, get a sense of this. Must say just the introductory transients there, very nice. You can hear the puffiness. You can hear the human element there. Very nice indeed. Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few things to touch on there. Again, beautiful texture, very warm, really well sampled, not only in terms of the, the fidelity of the sound of it, but a sense of the, a very strong sense of texture in these ones, and the way you can actually move between notes sounds very natural, sounds very realistic. Doesn't need, I wouldn't presume, doesn't need super sophisticated scripting or contact magic, because they are voiced so well, and yeah, I mean, this glues very nicely together. There is a fair bit of air coming in there, and I can imagine that's a pretty difficult decision to balance out, because obviously if you're sampling one player, I would presume they have different amounts of, you know, air coming out as well, or being produced by the instrument. But also, as you begin to combine the instruments together, all of that air begins to add up and add up. So how you process these samples so that when a goober like myself begins to play them here on the keyboard, that air just doesn't add up to a massive amount. And you want to have, obviously, air in here. You want to have a sense of that, because otherwise it won't come across as a wind instrument, and we want to hear that. And I actually love hearing air in just about everything that I use. Obviously, it's a different question with woodwind instruments, or wind instruments, period, because they produce so much more of it. But so yeah, I mean, interesting to see if, as we play more of this, if it kind of becomes excessive. And you do notice it at some point, because it begins to be a bit tiring to the ear. But let's play more. This is super enjoyable to play, and I can hear Dan's you know, style and sense in this one, because I know he likes these kind of textures, and so do I. So this is super pleasant to just lose yourself in here. Let's play again a bit higher. Well, that's a beautiful, just the way they've sampled and obviously kept in the initial, you know, transient information, all the detail of the players kind of very gently initiating this this sound. Clipping. We have so many more instruments going now that the level accumulates. Yeah, very nice. What I'm feeling here is that oftentimes with these this kind of approach, personally I'm yearning for more control in terms of the dynamics at the individual instrument level, because easily with these, if you begin to play these kind of pad-like sounds, it begins to be a bit too uniform. So I would probably use this really writing individual melody lines, and then writing individual dynamics on each of those lines. And that way you get far greater control of the kind of the density and the form of the sound you end up with. By no means does this sound bad. That's not what I mean, but I'm yearning for more of that fluctuation there. And in terms of like building an engine for this, would be cool, like if I were to try and cut down the amount of work I do, which I'm very much looking forward to doing always, is to maybe introduce a function where there is a certain amount of dynamic fluctuation on every single note when I play it. So if I played this one, that I could have a control of, let's say, introducing 10%, 15, 20% fluctuation of dynamics basically happening there at all times. Now that's a horrible example. I'm just exploring this idea. But the idea is just to, create more movement there. That's the thing, like with this, I mean, this is brilliantly recorded and sampled, and there is motion there. Obviously in the performance, there's textural changes. So this is not like, this is really, really well done from that perspective. But just thinking about that additional layer of bringing even more fluctuation, even more movement in there. Or lazy asses like myself. But yeah, I mean, otherwise I would probably go for individually writing each and every line, like as if an individual instrument is playing it, and then playing the dynamics there based on what I'm hearing. And that way, if I play denser stuff, that way I get more movement there. But again, as I said, this is, it sounds really good. I just notice if I play very dense stuff, especially combining different sort of registers, then I'm looking for that individual control. But makes me think maybe I could actually do that based on basically the octave I'm working in, because again, this seems to blend together very, very nicely. Let's try the very top end. As you can hear, it's clearly meant to be like a textural, I don't want to say pad-like thing, but because that's not a, it's not a very good, not good terminology to be using for that. But, it's not meant to be like a hyper-realistic legato instrument thingy, at least based on this one here. Maybe the other articulations are different, but you're meant to be sort of flowing between things, at least based on how it's behaving. The instruments are beautifully mapped to this range, and they're very very nicely blended and crossfaded with one another. I don't find that there are any abrupt transitions between the instruments. They're baked together in a very beautiful, cohesive manner. It sounds like one section working to bring your music to life. So that's super, super nice. Very, very beautiful sound. The air amount, now listening to it a bit more, sounds really good. in a full mix context, do you have to go in there and maybe pull back a bit of that? Does it accumulate? You know, maybe, but that's, you know, mixing issues we always face. But I'd just much rather have the option of having the natural air in there and then maybe pull back. I mean, the color, we could test that out just quickly. Yeah, so that definitely affects the air. I mean, it is some sort of an EQ control. So that's really your first line of defense against accumulating excessive airness, I guess. So that's good to have. It sounds very, very, you know, smooth to me. That's a very, very smooth musical control. Doesn't sound like abrupt or excessive, so that's cool. So yeah, I would grab that first to deal with that. Smart trills. So yeah, it says intelligently chooses trills to match the intervals of chords. Play sustained notes when no interval is available. Oh, plays sustained notes. Okay, so smart intervals. That's very nice. That's very cool. Love the texture of it. I mean, it's really, really well done. And it creates a very, very unique feeling. Do I wish more of the intervals were sampled? Maybe. I mean, the thing about this is that it doesn't do it for all intervals. And that will probably get maybe excessive, but maybe I would love to have the option in there to choose which intervals do actually trigger that, because as far as I can tell, yeah, like it said, plays major second, okay, minor third or major third, sporadic trills. Also crossfade between wisps and trills. So you can seamlessly trigger the trills when a new interval is detected. Fade back into the sustain if the interval is changed. So I wonder if this is why can I select two of these now? So I don't really hear the trill coming through there very well. So it probably didn't. I'm a bit confused about this double selection, whether it's a glitch. Okay, yeah, okay, so I can do this and I can select all of them. I don't know if this is meant to be the case. I mean, if I did this, I would presume... Let me try and get this. I would presume it would play everything right. Yeah, so I'm guessing that's not a intended thing. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm probably could be missing something here, but yeah, cool. Smart. I mean, these trills sound fantastic. More options in terms of what it could do would be super cool. So I could, you know, click this box and then choose which ones I want to start activating. But I really do like that they sort of come in at certain key points, and these definitely are the key points that you would want to have be active in most cases. Again here, I will say the transitions here, if you play slowly, are really, really nice. I can hear that it's from a like a programming standpoint. It's not doing anything super sophisticated, but it's the samples are so well done and they pair together. They are paired together really, really nicely. So it sounds actually super realistic, especially here as I was moving around. The transitions sound super nice. Like there, you can hear it's either the transitioning sample between them or the release of the previous sample or the release of it combining with the new trigger, but it sounds super realistic as you play these kind of things. There's that kind of a glide there, or at least the illusion of a glide, at the very least. Yeah, super nice. Yeah, I do like how they come in, the trills do come in at sort of certain key points. But yeah, optionality of expanding that could be very nice, and then you could even randomize it to discover new interesting things. Very cool. All right, blooms. So here the saxophone clearly comes through, its texture in the character really pushes through. They're very nicely put together, very nicely blended, very clearly very sensibly done. Great taste in texture and and how they combine. And obviously played very beautifully in a complementing fashion. This is very cool. Let me play a bit more of this. Clipping. Sorry about that. Let's pull back a bit. Limiter clip there as well, not the library. Very nice, very beautiful. Yeah, as long as you play in this sort of slow fashion, it's super realistic sounding. Again, texture very warm, very rich, very nice. Just like spot on for this particular approach. Let's do soft accents. And I will say, like, just playing this, which is not like a sustaining note, makes you realize the atmosphere layers now. I mean, they're so well blended with the wisps and the trills and the blooms so far. They just become one with the texture of it, with the musicality of it. So this is really, really nicely blended. And this is actually a great pairing of instruments, of winds meeting this atmosphere layer thing, because they sort of play off of one of the other. Play off of each other. That's what I was trying to say. Whereas with the pianos, for example, or the guitars, you play something and then you get the sense of the atmosphere there. Again, and that's not a negative thing, it's just a different sound because they don't, sustain as instruments like the woodwinds do here. So that's a really brilliant pairing. And I just realized that just by playing these non-sustained notes. So fantastic. We're gonna look at the atmosphere layers after we go through these articulations, but just thought I'd mention that. So first of all, I want to pull down the atmosphere intensity. I wonder if I can how can I disconnect the dynamics from the... Do they actually even do anything here? Yeah, so seems like... Yeah, so these shorter notes are velocity based. That's good. That's very cool. That's actually pretty useful. I'm going to bump up the level a bit here. Just thinking about all the kind of textures you could do with this. So what I do like about this, I was thinking about whether you could control the kind of speed or the size of the accent, but as you play this, it actually does respond relatively flexibly to the speed you want to work at. Obviously, if you want to go slower, it doesn't seem like you can do that here. So, I mean, that scope would have been really nice to have, but I understand it obviously increases the workload of creating this quite a bit. So this probably is some kind of a happy medium they took. Just kind of testing what it would sound like. But yeah, I think that's pretty flexible. There you can hear the air becomes very apparent, because that's primarily probably not what they're intending to do with that. But yeah, you could just pull back the color or EQ it to get rid of it. All right, next up, Swells Long. I know something that swells long. That limiter. Clipping. Yeah, I mean, obviously the level increases quite a bit as you begin to stack the voices. Yeah, beautifully done. Again, the sampling of the start of the notes is super nice. You basically see or hear the player, you know, lean into the note and then, you know, start puffing air, and you get all the nice, fantastic details there. And, you know, if you're writing this kind of stuff, which you obviously probably are, because you are restricted to this articulation. Obviously, creativity is the ceiling, so you can do whatever you want. But yeah, I mean, in that context, the realism is really superb. Let's do Swells short. And again, velocity here, I think, is sorry, dynamics are velocity dependent. Or maybe not. Yeah, not. But I don't know if there's only one dynamic here. Okay, definitely not. So this is this does control the dynamics here as well. I wonder if does it control it sort of mid-note? Indeed. So that's really good. That's really awesome, because that gives you an extra layer of dynamics, obviously, to work with. To begin with, these are really, really well done in terms of following a natural cadence or curve. Also, the releases are done really, really well here. You don't get a kind of an abrupt, what's the word? An abrupt departure. That's the word. From the melody line. So it sounds like, it sounds realistic. It sounds like it's responding to the idea that I'm trying to pursue here. That's actually really, really good. I wasn't expecting that, because when you're playing this, obviously it's built around this approach of these articulations and these sustains or these swells, etc. So I wouldn't naturally expect it to work so well with those kind of, trying to depart from that articulation. But they've clearly thought about this, because obviously the releases are sampled here, and it's interpreting my playing in the way that I'm personally, chasing here, the idea that I'm going for. Those are super, super nice. So even as those kind of shorter note things, because I kind of want to take the beginning of the swell but then release, it responds super nicely to that. So that's very nice to play. Also, what I like about these kind of approaches is they trigger new ideas. They spark creativity, because if I'm limited in a certain way, you give me a certain articulation, a certain, expressiveness, then I'm gonna play that, listen to that, and respond to that, and come up with all kinds of ideas to explore. So personally, I love these kind of tools because they do put you on a certain creative path as well. And I do love these kind of textural, sustained things. But next up, Spores. Crap, we were muted. I was touching on the range that they've gone for here. Obviously, the instruments that they are using here, like the bass sax, bass clarinet, bass flute, can go here, but that's not like a given that a company will sample them there or get it to work. But this is a really good range. You can go low and warm and meaty and bassy, but this is like a very warm hug. So I'm really liking this range that they pulled it off in this kind of a consistent fashion. And also the highs are pretty much a perfect balance of what I would be, you know, chasing after once I hear the sound of this. Very cool. Again, super inspiring. Just hearing that sound just gives you ideas. And how this like so gently moves around and shifts. I feel like I'm in a continuous feedback loop of creative inspiration, and the sound of it's so beautiful that I don't know, like it seems like that was like a saxy texture, but could be something also in the clarinet department. But that's just absolutely beautiful textural pairing, and so soulful and expressive and emotional. I feel like I can actually command these players to play something beautiful. Yeah, this is really well done. That's a very, very cool one. And then we have Wild Wisps. Very cool. Sounds like a dark duck who is planning his malicious and evil deeds. That's a super interesting one. I love the textures. Obviously, they do kind of limit you in terms of, well, not necessarily, but they do have effects on the perception of harmony and pitch and etc. But again, that's like a feedback loop. which I really like. You know, play by its terms and pull super interesting things out of it. A lot of the time, I feel like I'm seeking for harmony that this system doesn't really allow me to do, and like a pure sort of microtonal approach also doesn't do it for me. To me, it seems like more like a textural thing that you can work with in terms of the harmonics of the sounds and how they come together, and they kind of hit the spots that I'm after. It is kind of a textural thing, but it does affect the perception of harmony as well. So maybe that's the dimension, now that I think about it, that is actually producing the results that I'm after. But these kind of things can be really cool, and that's why I love if you're using a lot of ambient sound design tools like, you know, Bioscape by Lunaris, or some of the Slater Nash stuff like Landforms, etc. Anything that has this kind of doing something ambient, and they have these kind of components and particles that are floating around, and they create this sort of perception of an altered or enhanced or modified sense of harmony. I really like that stuff, and this is in that sort of same category. Super nice. Also, I really love in the programming here, when I change chords, it feels like it's actually continuing the articulation or the textures or the cycles of those weird things that it's doing. It's not like it's not interrupting it, which is really beautiful, because then it gives it this kind of intention and cohesiveness in terms of this is actually a consistent piece of music and very intentional. So you don't get these abrupt changes in the texture and the cycles that it's going through. So this is really well put together from that perspective as well. You just get this beautiful continuation. Like that. That's super cool. All right. Oh yes, we have had the atmosphere layers off here as well, due to my tweaking. Actually pretty interested in hearing what those sound like. So again, here they blend really nicely with everything going on here. It just gives that additional dimension there. Let me touch on the Spores as well. Cool. Oh, I had my mic on. Switch, I think, is dying, so I have to be careful with that, but cool. I think what we're going to do now is listen to the atmosphere layers. So turn off the raw signal. I wonder if, I mean, I would presume they are the same still for each articulation here. So let's test that theory. Yeah, so they seem to be. So That's cool. I wonder what they... Okay, here we go. So they did mention they have 10 different atmosphere layers. So as you click on these, it opens up a sub menu there. I don't know if you can actually... Oh yeah, you can see it. Good. So let's do these pretty much one by one. I don't know if some of these... So root, do, Heath, Sine. These seem to be able to open up all the same ones. These are 3, 6, 8. And then you have over... Okay, so it shows what is on and what is selected. This, I count 8, but they said 10. Maybe I'm just not using my brain here to... But these don't seem to open up different... Oh, it does. No, it doesn't. Flourish, root, do, Heath, and Sine plus. So, well, anyway, let's go through them. So, this one is Earth. Let's check it out. Very nice. Kind of a magnetic, cyclical, organic thing. Okay, so here we can pull down the atmosphere on its own so that it's not linked to the dynamics. But as soon as I move this, it links it. I wonder if there's a control for this. But as far as I can tell, there isn't. If I want to unlink them. Remove MIDI automation. Group 1. Okay, well, I guess that's the way of doing it then. But let's try this at its lowest setting in terms of intensity. Okay, so it does pull down the level as well, which is kind of interesting. I was expecting the level to stay the same because we're still at the same dynamics, but then just have a slower, less intensive version of this. But maybe there could be a visual work here, where even though I'm moving the atmosphere controller here, it's actually also moving the dynamics here. So okay, let's see. No, it seems that they are atmosphere intensity also controls the level. So that's not what I would expect, nor what I would want. But I don't know, maybe something worth looking into, because I would just want the same level but like a less intense sound. So it makes me think these are created in a kind of baked in way, where the level is chained to the intensity otherwise. This layer is called Marsh. kind of like a mixed batch of kind of the softer end of the woodwinds, kind of circling around. This one is moss. Very nice, like a tremolo, you know, short swell. So this really explains why they don't come through with a lot of these sustained notes, because they are far more sort of similar to the woodwind sounds rather than some of the atmosphere layers in, let's say, you know, the pianos or the hemisphere guitars, because it's sort of more, tend to be more like taking something from the instrument, but a more synthesized thing. So this is kind of more definitely recognizable as the source instrument. This one is Flourish. Yeah, this sounds like they took the some of the source instruments and then made this kind of glassier, synthesized version of that. This one is Root. So yeah, this is very synthy, kind of sine, like a rich, warm sine wave type of stuff. Do. Kind of glassy, tremoloized synthy sound. This one is Heath. A saw wave type of thing, clearly synth based. Actually, the other ones, the previous ones, could have been a triangle wave as well, considering we have a Sine plus wave, a Sine plus level here, or layer. Very basic, very nice tone. Kind of gives me that very pulled back church organ vibe on a early Sunday morning when the player is just warming up. I think that's all of the layers as far as I can tell with my eyes here. Yeah, I think that's all of them. I can see 8. I don't know, because I was thinking, you know, it would make 8 would make sense if I had, you know, you could always 2 were locked in to these previous layers. Okay, so it kind of like shifts if I choose one that's already somewhere else, it shifts what it had to the next one. All right, cool. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I still sum 8 here and not 10, but I'm sure someone will explain to me what I'm missing here. Cool. I think that's it. I think we went through everything as far as I can tell here. Obviously, reverb, we had it just set to default. Very tastefully done, balanced. I didn't find anything to be lacking or something I wanted to tweak here. Its default seems to be set to Hall, which seems like a good pairing for the instruments. And yeah, I find it to be pretty conservatively and tastefully balanced. With a lot of these types of sounds, kind of sustained cyclical things, can be difficult to find the good reverb and also to hear all of its nuances in those sustained notes. But they've paired this this very nicely. Oh, obviously we've only gone through one of these instruments here. So I'm hoping this will be a rather simple and self-explanatory expansion of this this demo that we check out, the High Winds main. So I'm guessing this only takes the wind instruments that reside in the higher range of this. And this is a pretty smart thing to do here, because obviously if you have a full ensemble, you need to decide where the crossfade points, the blending points between instruments are. So you're going to get some of the textures from some of the instruments and lose them from the others. So with this, you get more control over that texture. Again, we're not going to go through all of these here, because otherwise this demo is going to be insanely long. But let's play a few of these here. Let's take some of my favorites. Let's do Smart Trills. I think I'm missing something here because I can't hear. Oh, there we go. Let me test without. Yeah, now I can hear the trill. So seems like they're just. I don't know why I couldn't hear that happening earlier. So yeah, it just gives you the option of cutting out the lower winds so that they don't texturally mess with this sound if you want to focus on a higher, you know, lighter, higher sounding instruments. Blooms. We are very much clipping the limiter here. Very beautiful. I really like this again as a solution. It just shows the compositional maturity that they have, just to give you this option, because often you just need it. So those were the Spores, and we have a sustained note stuck here. Okay, I think that's a sign to change. And yeah, let's do lows here. Cool, that was the Wisps. Let's do Swells Short, which I know nothing about. Yeah, super cool. This gives you just a different tone, obviously, because you don't have the different textures, different timbres messing with one another. Let's do Spores. Ooh, triggering those lower notes, you get that like puffy, transient thing there. Feels really good to play this one. Gotta love low woodwinds. It's a beautiful texture, beautiful sounding instruments. Let's do full ensemble alternative. Oh, we have a fair bit of new stuff here. Smart Trills alternative. It's probably just different types of takes. I mean, as far as I can tell, they don't specify what the difference is, as far as I can tell in the one sheet that they sent me. But yeah, probably just a different set of samples. Maybe there was enough good sounding content, and then they paired it in ways that, you know, was good but just different. Put it there. Swells tempo sync. Sound very soft, very warm, but you know, hopeful and expansive, and very nice open top end. Super nice. My tempo here in the DAW happens to be 124, just for context. Very nice to have the tempo sync here. You can do more with it. also play with it, obviously. But yeah, I mean, super nice. Just fantastic sounding. I did have something I wanted to say about that, but can't come up with it. Soft accents. Oh yeah, I wanted to touch on the atmosphere layers here, because they are more apparent now, but they pair so nicely with this core sound. They just like make this beautiful cinematic extension there. And again, that release, with this kind of sampling approach and how they've, or I should say how these kind of libraries are usually put together, they don't release as nicely as this does. So they've clearly integrated that probably at the sampling level to this, so that the releases trigger, but also everything, the way they've paired that with the atmosphere layers and just everything. This is just so nice to play with it, because it you know, expresses what I'm after. Super nice. Very good. Yeah, soft accents, I can't really tell how these... Maybe they've included like some of the same ones, like the Wisps and the soft accents, and then you have the new stuff here. So trill major second. So seems like these basically lock in the certain intervals, rather than having the smart trills, which kind of interpret based on what you're playing. But with these, they seem to be locked in. So let's do trill minor third. Yeah, that's actually really cool. Again, this can be a pretty inspirational tool to have. And you can do textures you can't do with the other one. Multiphonics. That can be, in many cases, very cool, but, you know, ambient, atmospheric, dark stuff comes to mind to me. So that's very nice. Interesting how they've kind of laid this out as a separate, like, alternative patch instead of just including this into one. It's probably some kind of a, I mean, I'm sure there's thought behind why that is. But in terms of, I mean, I'd be happy to see this in one page as well. Okay, and then you have alternative high winds. So this, again, seems to, yeah, has the same set of options. But again, you have the instruments separated into the higher sounding ones and the lower ones. So let's just do the multiphonics here. It's actually really cool. I like that. And but yeah, you get the idea here. Let's do the lows. Let's do multiphonics on that as well. Cool. Yeah. All right. I think that wraps it up. Pretty much checked out everything that I can think of and see. So cool. Very nice. To summarize this, beautifully done. It's clearly they had a vision of the emotions, the textures, the expression they wanted to be after, they wanted to go after, and this very much nails that. I happen to be a fan of the sound, a fan of what they went after here, so I'm definitely gonna use this plenty in my music. And this also very beautifully expands on a lot of the things that are often missing in a woodwinds, or I shouldn't say woodwinds, in this case they have other stuff here as well, but winds libraries overall, but certainly woodwinds as well, which is alternative textures. And many winds libraries do have like a folder for this, but they don't tend to be super, diverse or super flexible, tweakable, and they don't have a specified sound and vision that they're going after, which means it just doesn't come across as expressive, as soulful and emotional. And this definitely pulls that off and fills in the a lot of the gaps that I personally find in my library catalog. So super happy to have this. But yeah, I mean, the warmth of it, the emotion, the soul, super nice. In terms of the sampling, again, fantastically done. I'm not surprised at all in that department, because Fracture Sounds just does such a clean job, a natural job, and they're just so musical, and the way they pair that with the playability that their libraries have, it just creates this very super pleasant experience. And again, you can, from this, you can hear, if you want to take it into a different direction in terms of, applying your mixing techniques to make it darker, etc., which makes me think I really want to run this through even some more granular processing, which I think this will be absolutely fantastic with. Yeah, you can hear it. It will respond really easily and well to processing, and it won't be harsh. You won't sound like you're quickly overdoing it. So that's super nice to have. But yeah, this absolutely serves and fills a role in my palette. And obviously you need to be a fan of the sound that this is going after. It has a very particular style and a sound, so you need to be a fan of that. But if you are, then this seems like a no-brainer. The pricing to me seems super reasonable. Let me actually look at this again. I mean, especially intro price slashes $20 off of that, which is, yeah, I mean, this is so mature and professional sounding, and just ready to go and ready to write some serious emotional music with that. I find that pricing to be actually super appealing. I would expect it to probably have $50 more on top of it. But yeah, obviously it can't do things that are beyond this sampling method or vision of how this is put together, but to assess it from that perspective doesn't make much sense to me, especially when this fills in so many textures and needs that composers might have. But yeah, I mean, I love how inspiring this is. I mean, I could just take off right now and just write a piece with it. So yeah, fantastic stuff. Let me know what you think in the comments if you have this yourself and if you played with it. What are your thoughts on it? And if you're just checking out this video, let me know what you think of this video and these sounds. But yeah, good job, Fracture Sounds and also Dan Keane. Really, really inspiring, beautiful instrument. So, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.